This is Rudkowski of WeAreChange.org. I'm here in New York City. I am joined by the one and only Tim Pool, who's another documentary maker and journalist, and we want to talk about mainly how the media sucks balls. Not just that they suck balls, but the greater details of how they suck balls, why they suck balls, and the intricacies that are happening right now, right in front of us, that are extremely confusing because they manipulate us on our emotions, and they either want us to either sympathize with a group or hate a particular group. Now, Tim just made a documentary about refugees, but first of all, before we even go there, I want to talk about Roosh, because who is this dude, Roosh? We're hearing about protests happening against a rapist, a rape. Like, that's what we're all hearing in the mainstream media right now. That's what they're focusing on for some stupid damn reason. And like obviously, it's the mainstream media. There's more intricacy, there's more confusion. What the hell's really going on? Who the hell is Roosh, and why is there so much rape talk in the media about him?
So there's these threads going around where everyone's saying this pro-rape event got canceled, and it's due to this social media campaign. Well, first of all, you could technically say that Roosh is pro-rape depending on how you read it, but what they're specifically referring to was this article that he wrote several years ago where he satirically called for the legalization of rape on private property. But here's what he was saying was, if a man and a woman both drink, only the man is responsible and is considered the rapist, and the woman is not held responsible. He satirically goes on to say, well, how about we make rape legal on private property so that women are forced to be held accountable? I'm not saying it's a good opinion, I'm not saying he's right, but it's fairly obvious that the guy was not actually calling for the legalization of rape. So when he has this group called Return of Kings, which is a men's rights activist and pickup artist kind of group, everyone immediately just called it a make rape legal event, which is totally not true. I mean, you don't have to like the guy, you don't have to like his opinions, but these people are clearly mischaracterizing what they're doing because they just don't like his politics.
So they took a satirical article he wrote in 2011. He has a meetup, and they made a big controversy about it. I'm getting text messages from friends being like, come protest this rape group. And I'm like, what? Wait, hold on. There has to be a bigger picture here. There has to be a bigger story here. And now this dude, Roosh, is getting harassed and intimidated. He never, there's no documentation of him actually hurting anybody. But
well, here's the thing. He has written articles where he said, one of the articles one of the articles he wrote, he says, if you don't take your hands immediately off a woman when she says no, you're a rapist. And he's like, therefore, I'm a rapist. He pulls up several points that, this guy's kind of, a D-bag, right? Yeah. And so there are a lot of people who view what he says as actually being rape. In which case, yes. But when we're talking about, that's the more political college liberal talk of like what rape is, like the affirmative consent, the enthusiastic consent, where you got to say yes before every kiss, you got to say yes before every movement. He opposes that kind of sex, and so that's why they call him a rapist. But when he actually said make rape legal, it was like if you're going to be honest, you're going to be like, okay, the guy's a dick, but he's clearly not actually saying legalize rape. Yeah.
So this guy pretty much just sounds like someone who's looking out for attention. He's writing satirical stuff. He gets the attention, but the mainstream media focuses on him and kind of conflates the issue. Meanwhile, those same kind of leftist media outlets don't dare to even mention all the sexual assaults and rapes that actually do happen in Europe. And of course, we see that bias unfold where they want us to sympathize with the refugees, but also at the same time, they're being extremely hypocritical going against Roosh, having him threatened, having his address and his family address released. Meanwhile, what's happening in Europe? No, we're not. They are going to talk about that. How do you see that in the kind of media landscape unfolding and the hypocrisy in that?
It's big business. A lot of media companies will say, yes, we're hearing these stories about these sexual assaults and rapes from the, in the refugee crisis in Europe, but that's going to anger our audience, so we don't want to do that. It's going to cost us money. And that's what you end up seeing from politically motivated media companies. Everyone has focused on this particular group of people they want to cater to, and so then they're not going to make content to piss that group off. I think it's less like a big, huge conspiracy amongst all these media groups and more just people trying to make as much money as possible, thinking about how can we, it's kind of like, how can we get as many people as possible to share our content? Well, if we make them angry, they won't share it. If we make them angry at someone else, they will. So then you see like liberal outlets will ignore these issues and conservative outlets will report these issues. And then it's just our politically motivated media, man.
Yeah. Bending the facts, bending what's really happening in this world in order to have that political or economic-driven motivation, which obviously just screws up society even more, and that's why I pinpoint the media as the major fault, as the major people who are responsible for a lot of the problems that we're facing, because they suck balls. All right, they suck balls. Now, going around all this, like we know, like me and you, we've been to Calais, one of the largest refugee camps inside of Europe. We know the issue is not, black or white. We know it's a lot grayer. And you just finished a documentary about 2 refugees that were moving away from Syria. But it's not also just Syrian refugees. There's so much more. Can you tell us, just what you discovered when you were making your documentary, and also some of the bigger conflated issues that are not being brought up by the mainstream media when it comes to the refugees?
So we made this documentary about these 2 brothers. And the idea was we wanted to find some young people who were affected by the refugee crisis, some refugees, to see what their experiences were like. It wasn't meant to be an overarching view of the entire refugee crisis. But what I ended up seeing, because of the way the mainstream media portrays the crisis, the average person's understanding of it is it's limited. And it's the fault of the media. What people don't talk about is that a lot of the refugees, like when we were in Calais, France, a lot of the refugees we saw, they weren't Syrian. They're from people from Central Africa, from North Africa, from the Middle East. And now we're seeing reports that a lot of the refugees that are trying to enter Europe, they're not Syrian. They're from all over North Africa. So depending on which media outlet you're going to, they're talking about the Syrian refugees who are causing these problems, when it's just not that simple, right? Yeah. And on top of that, I would say you've got a lot of leftist media organizations saying, these people are fleeing from war and we have to help them. Well, that's true for the Syrians, and it's true for some other conflicted areas in the Middle East. But within North Africa, a lot of these people are economic migrants who are just trying to come to a country that's got it better, and you're not seeing that from any of these big media companies. You're seeing it here and there in small reports. But it's like everybody wants to hyper-focus on Syrian refugees, even though they're not even the majority of the refugees that are fleeing to Europe.
Yeah, exactly. We went to Calais, so it was a whole big, mumble-jumble perspective. And, not all these people are criminals, not all these people are racist. There's still some honest human beings, but it's honestly a lot grayer than a lot of the media outlets even portray to be. Tim, thank you again so much for your time. Check out Tim's documentary. It's going to be in the description below. Thank you again so much for watching. The mainstream media sucks balls, so thank you so much for watching real and independent media. And don't forget to subscribe. We're going to have a lot more videos coming here your way, breaking down just this tremendous ball sucking that's been happening all over the mainstream media.